Tropical Dutchman production. Psst, over here. Hi, I'm Simon Kalverda, here with you on The Social Climb. Tonight we've got an extra special episode for you where we find and observe the elusive and shy species known as the photographer. Here's the scenario. You're the best man or maid of honor at a wedding and the photographer's just called in sick. It could be a case of the sniffles or it could be a case of vicious diarrhea. You don't want to ask, you don't want to know. All you know is that you need to find a replacement quick. But not to worry, I'm here. I'm going to show you not only where and how to find one, but how to communicate with it, and most importantly, how to tell the difference between a real one and a fake. Come on! Here we have the resulting chaos of several species, including the dance, drama, and vocal students, all gathered together to be judged by a small group of individuals. On this week's episode of The Social Climb, I'll make sure that you never make a comparison vote on the bathroom ever again. Here we have the popular location known as the library, which is a very hot spot for species such as academics and procrastinators. Here we have the dwelling of many a dangerous creature, including the rare and very alpha species, the principal. And believe me, as the proud owner of 8.5 toes, you do not want to mess with this bad boy. Here we have on this week's episode of The Social Climb. The Social Climb. The Social Climb. The Social Climb. Many photographers can be found in simple places such as the school or workplace. Schools are particularly good for this because many of them have a photography course in which they gather in large numbers and talk about ISO and f-stop and things. If you aren't fortunate enough to have a school with this kind of program or are in a workplace, there are several tricks that you can use. When a serious photographer buys a camera, they usually either keep it around their neck or in a bag at their waist. Now, while they wouldn't be carrying these around in a school or work environment, if you make a comment such as, "Would you look at that sunset?" and they grab either for their waist or the area just beneath their chest, you've got yourself a photographer. However, if they give you a look like this, you've got yourself a different breed of teenager. In which case, it's very important to back away slowly, because unless you know more about which species it is, they can be extremely dangerous. Come on, I'll show you more! Now, the strategy of trying to find a photographer in a workplace or school environment doesn't really work, because it's mostly guesswork. The best strategy to finding a photographer is to go where the photographer will be. This could include places like conservation areas, camping, or even your local tourist attraction like an aquarium or zoo. Here's one now. Here we have a photographer in its kind of native environment. It's very important to give it a wide berth, as interrupting a photographer while it's in the middle of its work is very dangerous, as it can lash out at any moment. A photographer that takes 1 or 2 photos before moving on a trail is a dead giveaway for a fake. When a true photographer finds a good spot, it will often take them several minutes to be through with it. That being said, they will always change positions very often. This is usually in an attempt to get different angles and therefore different photographs. Fiddling is also a really good sign, as it shows that they know how the camera works. We have no idea how a camera works, and if they don't touch anything else on it, we know that they don't either. After all, there is a really big difference between this.
Oh my gosh, guys, that's beautiful. You know what? You guys go ahead. I'll be here for a while. I'll catch up. Okay.
And this.
Oh wow, that's pretty. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh, guys, I am such a good photographer. I know.
It's also important to note that the photographer is a very modest creature and will never, ever, ever refer to itself as such a good photographer. Come on, I'll show you more! If you have the fortune to know a photographer in your school or workplace, the next step is negotiation. While I've repeated that the photographer is a solitary creature and shouldn't be approached, that only applies while they're taking photos and become extremely dangerous when interrupted, like taking ice cream away from a girl watching Netflix. Your best bet is to ask around and find the photographer's quiet place where they enjoy editing the most. This could include their cubicle, the library, or a public park such as this. Not only are they much calmer, but you get a chance to see firsthand how good their photos really are. Not only that, but you have a decent excuse to bring them up. Wow, that looks really good. It's important to note that while photographers are very modest and humble, they love having their photographs complimented.
Thank you.
Oh, that one's good too. How'd you do it? It's very important that you always prepare yourself for the complex answer that follows this question. They often talk of things like f-stop, white balance, shutter speed, ISO, all kinds of mumbo-jumbo that we have no idea what it means. It's very important to make sure it looks like you're paying attention, to maintain its confidence. It knows that you have no idea what any of this means, but if you sit quietly and listen, then it knows that you are genuinely interested in what it has to say, despite having no knowledge of what they're talking about. If you just kind of nod off and walk away, they'll lose faith and you'll never be able to hire them.
So, in a nutshell, that's what shutter speed is.
Huh. That's really cool. Some photographers only specialize in nature photos, so it's very important that you bring up indoor things such as a wedding before you hire them. Have you ever done, like, indoor photography, like at a wedding or something?
I've done many conventions.
If by this point you've decided that you want to keep this photographer, it's now where you bring in the offer. Do you think you could do wedding photos? I'd pay you. They will sit and think about it for a second, as everyone does when offered a job. However, the first thing out of their mouth is usually...
How much?
A little. It would be the groom doing it, like maybe $20 an hour.
When is it?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Alright. Sweet. Almost any photographer will gladly accept a paying job doing what they love. However, even at this point, it is still hard to determine whether or not it will be good. If you do get to this point and feel unconvinced, or you're just lazy and don't feel up to the challenge, my advice to you is to do what just about everybody else would do in this kind of situation and turn to our good friend Google and find a professional. This has been another productive day with Simon Kalverda on The Social Climb.